Melanie Fenwick Thompson. This is Wait One Legal Minutes, and today is a special show because we're going live as usual, but we are also going to be on 1380 WAOK with Juandolyn Stokes. That she will film this stream on her Facebook page. This will also be online on 1380 WAOK. And of course, we will have this streaming live on my Facebook page, along with my personal Facebook page, along with Wait One Legal Minute, and of course, the firm Fenwick, Thompson and Associates. So you'll have to bear with me. We will have to take breaks. I will come back on and talk to you as we take the breaks through the show. Through the 1380 show. Right now, Juandolyn's show is on a commercial break. So I just wanted to take this time to say hello, see who is with me, what viewers we have. If you are on, then let me know that you are here with me so that I know you can hear me, see me, and that all of our normal technical issues are all ironed out before we get started, especially on the live talk show. So last Thursday was a hard show. Good morning, Val. Thank you so much for joining. You are a committed supporter. I appreciate you so much. Last Thursday was a hard day for me. It was a tough conversation to have. We talked about Ahmaud Arbery. As you all know, Ahmaud was gunned down in Brunswick, Georgia on February 23rd. Good morning, my sister is here. I appreciate you joining, Marnie. It's tough for her to join because she is on China time teaching English virtually until the pandemic gets under control. She's here teaching virtually, so her hours are off, so I appreciate you joining. So last week, as I was saying, we discussed the dreadful incident of February 23rd in Brunswick, Georgia, where Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down by two white men, Travis and Greg McMichael, a father-son duo, and was filmed by William Roddy Bryan. And last week, I think I said that his name was Brian Williams, but in fact, his name is William Roddy Bryan. During the conversation, we talked about what happened. I showed the video of the incident where Ahmaud was simply on a jog in his neighborhood, as many people who knew Ahmaud in the neighborhood and friends and family said was common for Ahmaud. He was a jogger. At the protest, I later learned on Friday that he had dreams of becoming an NFL player, or he was a football player in high school. And so he was an athlete, like many of our sons. Ahmaud was just on his Sunday run, and he was gunned down by Travis and Greg Michael. And there was William Roddy Bryan, who was recording the incident. And what you see on the video is Ahmaud jogging. The white pickup truck, which Greg and Travis were in, came to a stop. Ahmaud tried to run on or jog on the opposite side of the street because the truck essentially blocked his pathway. So Ahmaud turned to go what is conceivably to the other side of the street. Conceivably to go to the other side of the street. And when you see that, they jump out of the car, they shoot him. I think there were 3 shots. He eventually falls down. They called 911, and in the calls, they alluded to him committing a crime and them in hot pursuit of him to stop the crime. Good morning, Joyce. How are you? Thank you so much for supporting. We've since heard the 911 calls. Now we've seen several interviews or articles come out. We've seen statements from the initial, or I guess the second district attorney that was assigned to the case. All of the district attorneys have recused themselves, and currently a Cobb County district attorney has been assigned to the case. We are now going live. And I'm going to try to patch you all through.
And that is very important. And so as we look at this case of Ahmaud Arbery, we want to certainly get her input and her advice and direction on it as we take a look at the things that have actually happened. And I'm going to ask Melanie Thompson, pleasant good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, Juandolyn. I am here. How are you today?
I am doing great. I am doing great. I want to welcome you to On Point, and thank you so much for taking out the time to share with us today. I want you to, first of all, just kind of recap quickly where we are, not where we are with this case, but how it actually started with the incident that happened in February and then the things that happened leading up to where we are now. So just kind of recap that for our audience from a legal perspective.
Sure thing. Before we do that, Juandolyn, can I ask that you show, I don't see you in my stream, and if you could show yourself, and I actually have my phone on speaker, and I'd like to pull you off my speaker, but you're not on. But if not, we can just go with your voice.
Okay, all right, okay. And then try to bring me on in if you can, but go right ahead.
Okay, so I see you, but I don't say, okay, here we go. And can you see me? I cannot see you.
I can't see you. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I'll just recap. I'm going to pull you out of my screen. So essentially what happened here was Ahmaud Arbery was on his normal Sunday jog, which was not uncommon for him. And he did make a stop. He looked at a vacant home. There was a new home in his development that was being built. He went in, he looked around, as many of us often do when we see beautiful homes. We like to look in and see what we like, what we don't like. He did what's normal, right? He's jogging. That's not unusual. There's no crime in that. He continues his jog, and as he was jogging down the street, he is stopped by a white pickup truck driven by Greg and Travis McMichaels. Ahmaud attempts to go around the white pickup truck and cross the street, at which point one of the McMichaels jumps out of the car, tells him to stop, commands him to stop. He does not, and they shoot him. The father-son duo shoot him, gunned him down, and a third person who was watching the incident recorded the entire incident. That's what happened. That's the short of what happened. They claim they were in hot pursuit of a criminal.
Yeah, but how could they be in hot pursuit of a criminal who was unarmed?
And therein lies one of the many problems. He was unarmed. He had not committed any crime. When they gave their witness statements, they said there had been recent events of crime. They didn't even allege that it was during the commission of a crime that they were trying to prevent as a citizen.
assume? How fair is that? Why would you just assume that this young man, 25 years old, started jogging, and you just assume that there's something within these McMichaels? Is there hatred? Is there racism within the McMichaels that would make them even think that this person committed a crime? And by what reason do you have to gun them down in the street?
Well, I think that first of all, we know based on the information that is now coming to light that there was no crime being committed by Ahmaud Arbery. Okay? Fact.
Right.
Second fact, I just learned this. Of course, they're going to try and paint a picture of Ahmaud being a criminal, having prior convictions or crimes on his record. He did have, and he was on probation for a crime years ago. And I don't have that information up. I will include that article on my in my comments. But this was years ago. But one of the McMichaels was one of the police officers. So there was a history there that I just learned about in prepping for today's show.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So what we also know, and this is my opinion, based on what I've read and based on the climate of that area, it appears that this is inherent racism. Mr. Michaels, Travis, and Greg felt entitled. They felt warranted and justified in their actions. And they knew Ahmaud's pattern. They knew his daily pattern. They knew when he would take his morning jogs. They knew to be where they were, and that's where we're going to get the intent. I think that's where the intent behind the charges that they've now been charged with will develop, because they knew that he was going to be jogging, where he was going to be jogging, the time he was going to be jogging, and they were waiting for him.
Well, that's good. Thank you so much. That's attorney Melanie Fenwick sharing with us today on point. We're going to come right back to her. Just let us know that they knew the intent behind it, because there was a history with Arbery and the McMichaels. And at that time, the older McMichaels was a police officer. Join the conversation. You can ask attorney Fenwick your questions. 404-892-2703. We'll be back with more right here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
So I hope you all are joining this conversation. We are simultaneously talking with Juandolyn Stokes on 1380 WAOK. And at the same time, I am live streaming this conversation with Juandolyn, and hopefully I can get her back on here into the stream. But in the meantime, what I would like to do is go through the history of the DAs so that we understand what DA initially had this case and kind of the history of the current DA. So the first DA was Jackie Johnson, who is the Glenn County District Attorney. She previously worked with Gregory McMichaels. She initially instructed officers not to make the arrest. She recused herself. She was the first DA that recused herself. And currently there is a federal probe into investigating her about the incident. The second DA was George Barnhill. He officially took over the case on February 24th. Now remember, the case happened on February 23rd. So like 24 hours after the incident, Jackie Johnson, after she had already instructed the police officers not to make the arrest, recused herself, and George Barnhill took over. George Barnhill wrote a letter, and we're going to include that letter on our comments. There'll be a link to the actual letter that George Barnhill wrote to the police department. In his recusal letter, he recused himself and simultaneously recommended no arrest based on his findings. The problem with that, and now we do have the link for the recusal letter. I want you all to look at that letter. Again, it is important that we are informed about proper procedure. Problems with this letter. Recuse yourself because you have a conflict or because you're too close to, because you have a conflict. You can't then talk about the merits of the case in your recusal letter and still make a recommendation about what should happen when you said, I have a conflict. That is ethically the wrong thing to do. It is Johnson. So now we have Jackie Johnson, then we had George Barnhill, and then Tom Durden took over the case after Barnhill's recusal. In my show on last Thursday, in the comments, asking for viewers to communicate with Tom Durden's office. Tom Durden said he wanted to wait until he wanted to present the video upload to a grand jury to determine whether charges should be brought. But he also did get the GBI involved. So the public concern there was, why are we waiting? We didn't have to wait until a grand jury heard the case to determine whether there was probable cause to make an arrest. The video created the probable cause. It was sufficient enough to watch the video and make an arrest. Now we are on our fourth DA, Juliette Holmes, who I just learned this morning is a University of Baltimore School of Law grad. I am as well, so hats off to you, Juliette Holmes, fellow alumni. I know that you will do a good job on this case. So we now have Juliette in this case, Ms. Holmes. She was appointed by Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr. Governor Kemp supported Carr's decision. Last June, she became Cobbs County first female African-American district attorney after Kemp appointed her to replace Vic Reynolds, who took over as GBI director. Interesting enough, Vic Reynolds is now the GBI director. He is overseeing this case. And again, Juliette Holmes took his place at Cobb County. She is a Republican. She was a judge. She was a prosecutor. She also had her own law firm. Cobb County and Brunswick have a history of transferring cases to the other jurisdiction because of similar demographics. In 2007, the trial of Stacey Ann Humphreys, he was accused of killing 2 Cobb real estate agents. That case was moved to Brunswick due to extensive pretrial publicity. In 2013, in the trial, the Brunswick teenager accused of fatally shooting a toddler. That case was hosted in Brunswick. That case was hosted in Cobb County because Brunswick did not want to have the trial of the defendants, wanted a change of venue, and so that case was heard in Cobb County. In 2016, the trial of Justin Ross Harris, accused of intentionally leaving a son in a hot car to die, was moved to the Gold Coast. So Cobb and Glenn have a history of transferring the cases to the other case, to the other county when there is a possibility that they probably can't get an impartial jury in the county where their case should be heard.
Now with attorney Melanie.
And now we are back on with Juandolyn Stokes.
Medicine, who's also been very actively engaged and involved in this course and the course of actions that have happened with this case. And of course, she's saying, listen, Arbery did nothing wrong. He was running, he was jogging, and now what they're trying to do is paint a picture of this young man, paint a picture, a negative picture of him because of a prior conviction years ago that happened when he had some interface and interaction with the McMichaels. So is this premeditation? Is this premeditated?
So,
what would you say, Melanie?
Good morning again, Juandolyn. My position would be that there is intent, okay? And if there is intent, there can be and here are the charges that have been brought against Travis and Greg McMichaels: aggravated assault and felony murder, okay? And with aggravated assault, that is a person who commits the offense of aggravated assault when he or she assaults with intent to murder, to rape, or to rob, okay? Just those three crimes. So because there was actually a murder along with the felony crime of aggravated assault, then they can also be charged with felony murder, okay? So there is why it's going to be really important intent.
I see. So with involuntary manslaughter, it does not require intent. So that's why with this aggravated assault, which can be now felony murder, that requires intent. And that's the route that they're choosing to go.
Correct. And my opinion as to why they're choosing the route of aggravated assault and felony murder is because they are felonies, then they will serve a longer jail sentence per the statute versus involuntary manslaughter, which has a much lower or lesser sentence than a felony or a felony murder.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Be charged with a hate crime. And I want you to elaborate on that, especially as it relates to hate crimes in Georgia, if there's such a case.
Yeah, that is a great question, Juandolyn. Thank you for asking that question. There is no statute right now that provides for hate crime in the state of Georgia. Many states do have hate crimes on their books right now. We do not. However, we do have pending legislation right now, which I pray will be passed. And I will include that HB bill on my comments as well. It is so important that this legislation gets passed to protect minorities, people of color, the LGBTQ2. Okay, now I'm stumbling through my words.
It's okay. LGBT community.
There you go.
Those who are disabled.
Yes, to support our minority communities. So there is a pending bill now, and hopefully it will get passed. But right now we don't have it, so we can't charge them under a statute that doesn't exist. But this is the reason why we need to have this statute.
I see. So how long?
And I think that varies on when they're in session, when the bill is introduced. And I, unlike last Thursday where I had some tracking bill information, I don't have that, but I will include that on my links as well. But it is pending, so I would hope that within the next year they will be on the books.
Why do you think that Georgia doesn't already have this bill passed? It's only like Georgia, South Carolina, Arkansas, Wyoming are basically, some of the 4 states that do not have a hate crime law on the book.
Well, Juandolyn, I wish you could see my face. And I would say also wait 1 legal minute. And here is my opinion about why there is, we're in the South. You know, Georgia is a red state. We're in the South. I'm just going to speak. I'm just speaking. This is my opinion.
Yeah, just say it.
Listen, these laws weren't designed to protect us. So now we want laws to be enacted to protect Black people. Well, that means that some people may be accountable for their actions. That means that some people who have historically been entitled, who have historically been able to say, stop, wait, why are you running from me when I tell you to wait? Because, by the way, that's what happened here. They commanded that he stop, he didn't, and so they killed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Without any reason, had no right to kill him.
Correct.
That sense of entitlement.
Right. And because the Black boy did not comply with the white man's command to stop. I mean, I don't know. This sounds like slavery to me. This sounds like a runaway slave where someone commands someone to stop and they don't, and so they feel entitled to take their life as a consequence, penalty, or reprimand.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what this is.
That's why I think that hate crimes don't exist here in Georgia. They don't exist because that would hold hate crimes. The way they're designed, Juandolyn, is if you can establish that the person, the action that was taken onto the person was done because of who they are, because they were Black, because they were gay, because, then there is more of a penalty than if that didn't exist. Okay, so they would be held accountable for their hatred. They would be held accountable for their sense of entitlement and the actions that they took to continue to protect their entitlement.
That's right. That's right. Hold a second, Attorney Fenwick. She's coming back. We're going to ask her about the laws around making a citizen arrest. Let's talk about it. 404, join the conversation. 404-892-2703. We'll be right back with more.
So we are, and we've had some technical difficulties, so I was unable to include Juandolyn Stokes on the live feed, but I am having the conversation about Ahmaud Arbery live on Facebook and simultaneously participating with Juandolyn Stokes on 1380 WAOK. So I just finished talking about, and I don't know how many, there are a few attorneys I see that are on here. Tell me what your opinion about why we don't have hate crimes in Georgia. I just boastfully shared my personal opinion as to why we don't have hate crimes in Georgia. But what's your opinion about why we don't have hate crimes on our books? Am I wrong? Am I off base? I have a question here. I'm going to show her a question. Somebody I grew up, I thought I had my phone on D&D, but I don't. So let's see. What do you think about the fact that colored people are less likely to apply for their own firearms licensing where they can legally carry their weapons for self-defense? This is almost like another Trayvon Martin incident. In states where you can apply, listen, I don't personally carry a gun, but I certainly understand people who want to because they feel protected, and it's their right to do so. I don't know any stats on the ratio of who carries, who bears arms or not. What I do know is that if I did own a gun, and if I was running in my neighborhood, it's not likely that I would carry my gun with me on my Sunday jog. And why do we have to protect ourselves to take a jog? So I don't know if, and if you own a gun and you do carry it everywhere you go, even on your daily exercise, let me know. Let me know that that is unreasonable, that especially as a Black person in today's society, that you would carry your gun. I had an interesting conversation with Miss Lovin, and I'm going to share her picture here. Hear about in the articles that we're reading. But she said, and let me share this with you, she said that he had a great sense of humor, that she would always sing some song, and this is 11th grade, so she would sing some song about her dogs, and he would mock her singing the song as soon as she came in. And she said no matter what kind of mood she was in, he always brought a smile to her face. So I just wanted to share that with you all, because that's probably something we're not going to read about in the newspapers or articles that we read. She was a very nice lady, and her name was Amy Lovin, and I appreciated her taking the time for allowing me to take her pictures and just talking to me about Ahmaud. And by the way, she was also the English teacher for Travis McMichael when he was in 10th grade. Travis and Ahmaud were not in high school at the same time. Travis was older, but she actually taught both of them. She also said that he had a great sense of humor, that Ahmaud had a great sense of humor. He had one of the biggest smiles in her that she remembers. And I asked her about the racial tension in the high school, and she said she didn't observe any, that it was a very diverse school. It is a very diverse school, and that there is not racial tension that she observed. Well, I just wanted to share that with you all, because I think it's always good to hear something more about the victim than the negative information that we're about to hear, especially as the upcoming trial, as that comes out, how Ahmaud is painted will be challenged, and we will have to stand firm and support him and his family and his legacy, because he is the victim. I'm going to check back in. There is still a commercial, so I have a little more time. Again, I am simultaneously having a interview with Juandolyn Stokes on 1380. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. I wanted to.
Wait one legal minute.
We are back on.
Thompson sharing with us on today. I wanted to ask you, but before I ask you the question, Jay from Forest Park has a question for you, attorney.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, ma'am. Ma'am, how's your day?
Oh, it's going well, thank you.
Wonderful. My question was about, I just heard it just on your show. You said that the young man, Arbery, had a charge a couple of years ago in relation to one of those guys, and that's the first I've heard of it. And did I hear that right? And what was that about? Like, what was the charge? Do you have any information on that?
I do. I'm going to include that in my on my links, but it was not a charge in relation to one of them, but why. And so one of them was involved, or as the investigator or the police officer, arresting police officer, for years ago for a crime that was committed and Ahmaud was on probation for, which had ended. That probation was done. It was cleared up. But the crime was not against one of the McMichaels. They were the McMichaels. They were the arresting officer or investigating officer. That was the involvement.
Yes, ma'am. What was the charge?
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but I will include the link in my comments.
Thank you for the information.
I sure will. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
When Henry from East Atlanta has a question for your attorney, Thompson.
Sure thing. Hi, Henry.
Okay, good morning to both of y'all.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. One question is, I think there's been a situation where, say, if a person, two persons is in an automobile and one goes off a thing, or if it's two persons together, been in a car accident and somebody gets if they have a car accident and they committed a crime, both persons is held accountable, or is something like
Yes.
two witnesses together. If an accident occurs, both persons can be charged for the crime, and if there's a death, I think it's somewhere in Alabama they said someone incarcerated presently because they was in with another person and somebody got killed.
Right.
Got charged also. So if that's a similar law situation here in Georgia, if they was illegally make an effort to hinder his movement, regardless who did what, stand your ground or don't stand your ground, if that young man got killed, and if they was wrong for stopping him, do it mean that everything that happened after that, they ought to be blamed? And now, as it relates to him or kids, it's fairness of the justice system to where if they charge him for felony, and if they get off, you can't find out their intention. And if you charge them on a felony, and why not charge them on a lesser charge where you don't have to deal with the intent? And don't worry about the amount of years, but the amount at least that they get charged for the crime that was committed.
Those are great comments. Let me start with your last. It is difficult to, it's a judgment call for the DA, who is currently Joyette Holmes, what she will charge them with. But right now they've been arrested for, yes, 2 felonies, aggravated assault and felony murder. If Joyette pursues those charges as it stands, you're also correct in that both involve intent. If she charges them with a lesser charge instead, such as involuntary manslaughter, that does not require intent, they can be imprisoned for not less than 1 year, nor more than 10 years. So it's a dramatic difference in how much time they will be sentenced to in an involuntary manslaughter charge or conviction than a felony murder. So Ms. Holmes may consider or reconsider the charges and charge them for a lesser crime, but in my opinion, the intent might be easy, not easy, but the intent may be proved based on the video and the acts of the McMichaels and Mr. Bryant. And she will always want to, and you want to charge them with as much as you can to make sure that they serve the proper the proper time. Because if they go to jail on a lesser charge, then they're going to get out sooner. And so it's almost like giving them a slap on the wrist for taking the life of another. But I understand and appreciate what you're saying, that they might get off if she can't prove the intent, which has happened in several cases of police shootings where they can't prove the intent and they get off for killing our young men.
Right. So if we have a sense that we have things is fair and people in those in their right mind, and maybe they, the jurors that they might get might be considered in their right mind as a racist person, and might, they might say this person is innocent. So I'm just saying, and I call a person a racist, but if that part of the area is if they don't have enough jurors that is not influenced by racial, and that might be good, but if the opinion is that you're not going to find a type of juror that actually, with sense of intent, but I think, might not even be able to say that the intent were to murder, might say the intent were to stop him. So if the intent were to stop him, then what happened again, everything happened again after that, they were charged with that because it was wrong for stopping. Just like you say, you didn't intend to kill nobody when you ran the bank, or one person didn't intend to, both somebody got killed, so both person has to get charged. So,
yeah, I hear you. Thank you so much for your comment. Thank you for calling. Senator April Mabel is on the line, has a question for you, Attorney Thompson.
Good morning.
Because how you doing, Juandolyn? I'm good. How are you doing today? Hey, listen, State Representative, can you hold a second? Hold a second for me, okay? I'll connect you. We're going to be right back. Attorney Melanie D Thompson is on the line. State Representative April Mabel is on the line, and let's talk about this case.
Wonderful.
Right here on point with Juandolyn. Turn your listen talk.
Okay, so now we have a representative on the line on 1380 WAOK. I hope you all are all joining. I'm going to ask that Christy, my paralegal, she should be watching, if you can include that article on the comments about the history of Ahmaud, one of those links in the news article includes an old probation charge. I want to make sure that we have accurate facts. We're still on a commercial break right now on 1380 WAOK. I'm just going to read some more comments. I have one. Hello, this is a middle school friend. Good morning, Melanie. Thank you for all that you do. Continue bringing truth to the light. I appreciate that. This was not my intent when I started Wait One Legal Minute. My intent was just to have conversation about legal and social issues, and this is where I've been called. And so this is where my focus is right now. This is where I've been called to have conversations with people about, and this is what I'm going to do. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Wayne. I hope you got the information about the intent, and that was a great question by the caller, and it is going to be important how Travis and Michael, or what charges go forward at trial for Travis and Greg McMichaels, because sometimes that is how people can get acquitted, is when intent can't be proven. I have struggled with that in cases before.
Research arena that substance use, when addiction, or even just use of substances are
so we are back on 1380 WAOK.
Also a mental health condition present besides the addiction. So, for general medical conditions as well, not just the mental health conditions. Then, when you mix substances into the picture, or there's an increase in substance use, or new substances being added into the mixture, that is absolutely a known kind of one of the warning signs, actually, that that person's risk may be increasing. Now more than ever, let's stay connected.
Well, apparently that was a commercial and we weren't back on the show live. So I am going to come back off. And Chrissy, can you confirm if that CNN article was the article about the former probation? Here's another comment. I'm loving your platform. I can't wait to see how far you will soar. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your comments and your support. Let's check back in.
About what we do.
We are not back on yet. There's a CNN article that we have posted. And I'm asking my staff to confirm whether or not this article is about Ahmaud's probation. In the meantime, I am going to.
Home service businesses can get $200 of free advertising.
I am going to talk a little bit about. I had an issue with the conduct of Jackie Johnson, as many of us do. The conflict letter, the recusal letter by Mr. Barnhill. And I did some research because I wondered if there were any ethics violations. So I looked on the Georgia Rules of Professional Responsibility. For those of you who don't know, these are the rules that govern our behaviors as attorneys. So these rules are set out so that we conduct ourselves professionally and ethically. Unfortunately, there's not a moral provision in here. There is a moral provision in the creed or oath that we take, but as far as the rules that we can violate and there are consequences for our violation, I did not see, and I'll go over some of the rules that I found, but we are back on.
That case in Glenn County there in Brunswick, Georgia. We have attorney Melanie D Thompson, who's on the line with us as our guest. She's answering your questions. She's bringing us up to date on this case. Let's go back. Join the conversation, 404-892-2703. Attorney Thompson, we have State Representative Ahmaud Arbery on the line. Go right ahead. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to, I'm State Representative Ahmaud Thomas. I want to just mention with the hate crime bill, HB 426, and it passed out of the House on last year, and it's now in the Senate. So we really don't even have to wait till next year because we have about 11 days left.
Excellent.
Session was suspended. So actually, what we're trying to do is have a public put pressure on the members of the Senate, right, to let that bill out, so they actually can pass when we go back in on June 11th. You know, we're gonna deal with the budget, which is number one thing, but it's nothing precludes us from being able to pass other legislation. Since it's already passed one body, it's just a matter of the Senate. We can be a bi-cameral body to go in and pass it out.
So HB 426, HB 426 will be addressed at the June 11th session.
Yeah, we go back. We just have 11 more days to do. We have a 40-day session, but we got 11 more days, and it actually could come out in those 11 days if enough pressure is put on the Senate and the governor to let a hate crime bill pass at the state.
Wonderful.
The public put the pressure on the Senate and the governor. Representative.
You can call. There's a website called www.legis.ga.gov. That's the website that has all of the legislators' names, who they are. So go into that website and you can find out if the members of the Senate. There's 56 senators, 180 state representatives, 56 senators. So you can just call them all. I mean, take them all. About to support House Bill 426 and the means that come out of the
community is back to www.legis.georgia.gov. And you said all of the members of the Senate are there and call them about this bill, HB 426. That's so good to hear, because a lot of people are wondering, how can they get involved? How can they fight for the justice of Ahmaud Arbery? What do you say, Attorney Thompson?
I am so grateful. Thank you so much, State's Representative April Maple. That information is so helpful. I'm including that information, and I'm asking for all my viewers to make sure that you log on to www.legis.ga.gov right now. Contact your representatives. As Ms. Maple said, contact all of them. Contact all of them. Let's put the heat on our representatives. They represent us. Let's put a voice to our needs, and we need this level of protection. We need HB 426 to be passed. I thank you so much for that information.
And so I'm going to have to run an appointment, but what I want to say is, I just want you to, my name, it seems like you said April, but it's Able. Able Maple Thompson. You know, I didn't want my name to be right. Yeah. But the Senate is the place to start working on, because we passed it out of the House. It's just a matter of the Senate getting in the hearing and passing it out. There's a bill in the government side.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll do virtual lunch soon. Thank you. Let's go back to our phone lines as well. Leroy has a question for you.
Good morning, Leroy.
Hey, Dr. Stokes and Attorney Thompson, is that correct?
It's good enough.
Okay, so here's the question. It pertains to stand your ground. So the first video where you see Ahmaud running behind the vehicle, and you see the vehicle in front, well, they said it was a citizen's arrest, and they were following them. They stopped following him when they got in front of him. So how can they intend to stand your ground when they are the ones who are actually
pursuing? And there is
I would say that then puts Ahmaud in a position of having to stand his ground.
I fully agree with what you were saying. Ahmaud, Ahmaud had the right to protect himself. They were in pursuit of him. They hunted him down. And they used more force than he had, okay, which was excessive. So you can use and you can defend yourself and use force equal to the force that someone used against you to protect yourself. But Ahmaud didn't have a gun. He didn't have any weapons. He was not the aggressor. And when they said that he lunged for them, we see in the video, he had already been shot. He was falling over. He fell into the guy after one shot was fired when he hit his hand. Sorry?
So when he started falling over, I think he was shot twice at that point. So without there being evidence that he actually committed a crime, as a person that's been in that position where I had suspicion of people who committed a crime, I was in heavy contact with APD and tried to get them to do certain things. They did. I did ask, well, I go up there and I do talk to one of them. What's going to happen behind that? Because I wasn't able to get them to resolve the issue the other way. They said, oh, we'll be right over there. So I kind of understand both sides of it, but they did go too far. I did not do what they did, of course, but wow.
But in your opinion, they did go too far. They went too far with it.
Absolutely. They
Okay.
went too far. I mean, they drove around them to get in front of them.
Yeah.
And then they stopped. Then impeded his car
Right.
Thank you so much for your comment. Let me go to Dale in Atlanta. Good morning, Dale. You got a question? Thank you so much. Appreciate you calling.
Good morning, Dale.
How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
How are you?
Attorney Thompson, how you doing?
Well, thank you.
I just want to say this. I'm very distraught, and I was sitting at the table with my wife, and I was very distraught about the information that you shared about the possibility of, you know, man, years ago had some. Did you say he had some type of run-in with the McMichaels years ago?
Years ago.
I'm just trying to get clarification on that because, matter of fact, I'm trying to get to a point. But go ahead, though.
Well, I'm just sharing the information. And actually what I said was that at this point, because there have been arrests, what people are going to try to do is to paint Ahmaud Arbery as the aggressor or bring up any negative involvement he may have had with the police or any criminal history in order to paint his history. And so what I was doing was sharing what was in an article, and that article has now been, and it was a CNN article talking about him being on probation. Again, this was years ago. He is 25, well, he was 26. 7 years ago. I don't think it was quite 10 years ago, but that was resolved.
Well, okay, now I'm getting to the point. I'm getting to the point now where this is what really concerns me. Do you remember the incident that happened with the one police officer, female police officer, who killed the young man at his apartment in Dallas?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So my thing is this: is that why is it that the prosecutors wants to give a lesser sentence to these individuals who commit these type of crimes against humanity, especially those who command them on the property. Just like with Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes.
I mean, he was disregarding money in his own business. So what I'm saying is that why is it that, okay, I'm a taxpayer.
Yes.
I'm a taxpayer.
Yes.
I know she's so few taxpayer. But my thing is this: is that I would rather, as a taxpayer, would rather pay for the idea that, hey, instead of getting for a lesser crime for these.
Hold on a second. Okay? Don't go anywhere. It's not what we want to 700 to talk 1580 WAOK.
Okay, so we now have, let me come off here again. We are on hold. We have a very interesting caller, Dale, very passionate caller. It sounds like he is, I'm not quite getting to his point. We took a break. We're going to come back to him after this commercial break on 1380 WAOK. But in the meantime, I just want to reiterate, we had State Representative Abel Maple on the line who shared with us the status of the hate crime bill, which is HB 426. There's 11 days left. And they will resume on June 11th, and HB 426 will come back, and they have 11 days to pass that bill. So the website, and I don't see it on here yet, my team, where is my team? I need you to post HB 426. There it is. So I'm going to show this comment. It's HB 426. There is the website that addresses specifically HB 426, the hate crime that we need on our books to protect us. Okay. So if you don't know what to do, I know, I think the action that people are taking right now, the Facebook Live, the running for 2.23 miles, the dialogue that we're having, the continued conversation that we're having is action. We need to continue this action. We need to be consistent. We need to have the conversations at our dinner table. We need to talk to our Black young men. We need to talk to our white young men. We need to talk. We need to make sure that people understand that this happens. And without action and words, it will not change. So there's the website. take some action. If you can't run, if you can't protest, if you can't get on Facebook Live and have a conversation for fear of your job, then go to this website. We're still on a commercial break. Let me just check back in. We are still on a commercial break. I have a comment here. We're going to just read through this comment. It's a pretty long comment. One theory could be that a lot of wealthy and successful African Americans live in Atlanta, which of course money has power. However, if laws were changed in Georgia, then maybe the fear is too much power would be given to protect people who have been oppressed in the southern states for years, including beyond segregation and the civil rights. That is an interesting comment. Like, I'm gonna give you enough, but I ain't gonna give you everything. Just saying. I'm thinking that's what the comment says. Let's put this hate crime into place. Thank you so much, Ada, for your comment. Here's a comment, one of my baseball moms. Awesome, Mom. Thank you, Melanie, for bringing this out for dialogue. I appreciate it. And Marnie, I know you are doing your part. You're just a beautiful spirit, and I appreciate you. My comments have the articles, some of the articles which I use to gather my research in this conversation. So I ask that you look on those articles to confirm and read for yourself and opine for yourself what's going on here. Marjorie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cousin Barbara, thank you. Oh, I'm absolutely best. Oh, I appreciate it. Let's continue the conversation. Can out-of-staters help and how? I wish we saw that question. But you know what? Go to the website. Go to the website, and I'll share that again, Ada. I think that anyone can call and share their opinions about what should be happening here with HB 426 and their opinions about what is currently happening in the state of Georgia and how we are not protected.
Learn more about what we do.
We are still on a break, and the show is going a little longer. So what I'm going to do, I just want to thank you all again for supporting Wait One Legal Minute, supporting me. I appreciate you. I'm going to record the remainder of this conversation with Juandolyn Stokes on 1380 WAOK. I look forward to seeing and hearing from you throughout the weeks to come, but I look forward to seeing you on Thursday at 11 o'clock again. So just thank you for your support. Continue the conversation. Go to this website that I have up to help get HB 426 passed. You all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday at 11 o'clock.